Hello, welcome back to Let's Play Perry Rhodan. Today's episode, just a bit of a heads up, is just going to be the lore dump of reading Mondra Diamond's journal, so that way it doesn't, A, we have the information, and B, it doesn't turn the next episode into like a 3-hour episode, so that is what we'll be going over today. So, okay, it looks like it's starting from the beginning. Notes on the myth of the Islachim for an exhibition at the end of the year. And it looks like bird people and angels. Okay. I was surprised to be granted an official contract by the Residence Ministry for Intercultural Cooperation to put on an exhibition. My task is to get to the bottom of the myth of the Islachim, which is as good as saying that I should prove that the Islachim really existed. The impetus for the exhibition has come from an anonymous Terran art collector and patron who has also invested some money in the project. He is generally just known as QB. I've already tried to find out more about this ominous culture vulture, but I came up with very little. I'm just going to finish off the latest report, and then I'm going to dive right into the myth of the Islachim. I'm full of childlike excitement yet again. There it is, the good old sense of adventure once more. No doubt Perry will roll his eyes when I tell him. The Islachim, entry in the Galactopedia. The origin of the name and the point at which it first appeared in the history of mankind is fiercely contested. Some claim that it is merely another form of, or has developed from, the word Elohim. Elohim is a term for certain angel beings which appear as far back as the earliest Terran myths from 3500 BC. They are mentioned in all Semitic religions. In early Jewish history, Elohim is even employed as a name for God. The im suffix is most likely a plural form, however, which is precisely what has led to a race of creatures being worshipped as gods, namely the Islachim. With religion and esoterics playing a much more minor role in the Solar Empire up to the present day, this term has taken on a new meaning too. Examples can be found of Elohim, Elohim, or Elohim, or Elohim, or indeed Islachim, being applied to representations of many different kinds of angels. More recent sources claim that the name first came into usage amongst humans at the start of the 4th millennium, and that it is a humanified form of the arcanine term Yilad Zimi, the Yilad being a reptilian dragon creature from arcanine mythology, which remains largely unknown to researchers. Zimi is the plural form of fire, as well as the order to fire a weapon. So all in all, I'm looking for angel-like dragon reptiles which breathe great quantities of fire, or who have been shooting at the Arcanites in dark times gone by. Sounds pretty exciting. Initial research findings, not very much. Not much is known here on Terra about this alien race. It is actually only mentioned in myths and legends of early humanity. We have great hopes for the collaboration with the Arcanine Ministry of Education and High Culture. This is the reason the exhibition is also to be held in Thora's Museum for Intergalactic Relations on Saturn's moon of Titan. I've received some post at home from an unknown sender. QB has had an Islachim artifact, at least that's what it looks like, sent to me, along with a file with reproductions of old Terran engravings. There's a short note. In confidence, QB. Of course, I immediately complained to the Ministry for Cultural Cooperation about them passing on my private address, but they swore that they hadn't. I've got an uneasy feeling about this. Notes on the artifact. Material, incredibly dense and completely unbreakable as far as I have tested it. I have carried out all kinds of scans and examined the material under various readers. Summary. This is a material which is entirely unknown in our galaxy. It displays such high energy density and oscillation that neither its structure nor its properties can be analyzed. If there's anyone who can get to the bottom of the mystery of this lens, it's Malcolm S. Dalian, but he's not someone you can get to easily. Perhaps Perry, but I haven't seen him in ages. Luckily, Carrie, the best friend you could possibly have, is there. Who better than Dalian's personal assistant to persuade him to examine this extraordinary material? I'll go and see her first thing tomorrow. And now we get to the part that's the tab labeled Carrie, photos of the engraving sent to me by Mr. QB. Alright, so it looks like some Jesus stuff, and that looks like the crashed ship from the intro. The pictures stem from the end of the new era or the beginning of the modern period, 18th or 19th century. They may be illustrations accompanying a book or a story, or just loose pages emanating from the imagination of an illustrator. And now we have a script table. My trusty sense for connections led me fairly quickly to a passage from the first cuneiform texts which have been passed down by mankind. The absolute origin, at least as early as can be traced, of this transmission stems from Mesopotamia as far back as pre-Semitic times, i.e. before 5000 BC. It is part of the first written collection of myths and legends of all humanity after the Immortals. It remains unclear to this day how the cuneiform script in which these texts are composed developed. The Ugarit alphabet is the first to use the abstract cuneiform script to represent 31 people. Before this, there was merely an immense number of characters which had evolved from graphic symbols. I don't yet know whether there is also a connection with the Arcanide alphabet, but here are all three side by side for comparison. Oh, what a coincidence. They also have 26 letters, apparently. Excursion to Ugarit, Karachoyik, and Keonu, the largest discovery and excavation site of the earliest signs of human or Islachim culture. What a letdown. All that was ever found there was nicely scrubbed up, numbered, cataloged, scanned in, and finally sold to the highest bidder. That's modern archaeology for you. As a reminder, some tents in a valley there. I went to Dalian's apartment to see about the lens. The old sourpuss was no particular help to me. I managed to catch him on one of his really bad days. He said he had no time for the lens at all at the moment, and he thinks the Islachim myth is a load of tosh. Word for word, someone like you, who used to be one of the top agents, shouldn't be spending her free time playing detective because of the dream visions of some esoteric crackpots. Thankfully, Carrie is around. Without her, I would have probably been reduced to despair long ago. We're at least able to ascertain, using an ultra-high-frequency scanner from the Institute, that the lens is 93.87% certain to be made of suprint, an extremely rare and valuable hypercrystal. I'll be taking twice as good care of it from now on. And there's some suprint hypercrystal. I came across a clue in the old data archives in Terrania. At the start of the 32nd century, there were actually some student uprisings and riots, but curiously much of the data from the period between April 1st and September 17th, 3103 was inadvertently deleted. These are the scraps of data I was able to retrieve. 2114, Ryukyu Trench in the Pacific Ocean, roughly 400 kilometers east of Taiwan. A deep-sea exploration group discovers an unrecognized artifact, something from the Islachim. The depth of the discovery, 7,200 meters below sea level. Researchers speak of new findings related to the myth of the Islachim. There are no records of what this artifact was. From the outside, the Museum for Intergalactic Relations on Saturn's moon Titan looks more like an outpost of the Arcanide War Ministry. Only the statue of Thora inside the building creates a vague impression of unity when you know that it looks exactly like the picture of her on Perry's desk. Everything else is merely evidence, Arcanide posturing, and arrogance. Merely evidence of Arcanide posturing and arrogance. The head of the museum, a typical Arcanide, showed me the exhibition room. Well, we'll see if it turns out to be a stimulating exhibition. Bingo. There are clues pointing to an obscure museum of unexplained phenomena where several Islachim artifacts have apparently turned up. The museum and its curator, Nini Havage, are actually ancient history themselves, but a photo left to Havage's daughter from the year 3103 shows her father with an open casket. Inside are a whole load of figurines and objects covered in cuneiform script. As far as can be ascertained from the picture, the cuneiform script on the objects appears to be the Ugaric code. It's an old exposure, and I couldn't make out the details that accurately, but the designs of the figurines are very vivid. There are all kinds of fantastic aquatic and mythical creatures, from a mermaid to a winged whale. It's all there. These must be sketches from that casket then. The first tentative conclusions. 1. The legend stems from the Mesolithic period and coincides with the first cuneiform pictograms of humankind. Question. Where does the cuneiform script come from? 2. The Elohim were angel-like beings which were worshipped as gods or a god. 3. Since Atlan visited Terra in the spring of 3103, there are strange gaps in the Terran history records, and it is from this point on that the word Elohim starts to appear. If you put 2 and 2 together, this is what you get. The Elohim were on Earth in the early stages of humanity, but subsequently disappeared without a trace. At the start of the 4th century, something extremely dangerous appeared, which was linked to the Elohim. Everything which could remind people of them was subsequently destroyed. But what does this mean? If this legend is true, it means the Elohim came from outside our solar system equipped with extremely advanced technology. And the lens is made of suprin. Where else could the suprin have come from if not outside our galaxy? I've sent a list of requests for the exhibition to the Arcanine Ministry of Education and High Culture, but all my personal inquiries are simply rejected. I don't know what their idea of cooperation is. It's as if the Elohim are linked to another dark spot in the Arcanites' history which they don't want bringing to light. I've therefore used my own initiative to go through unofficial channels, and I've managed to find out some interesting information. The Arcanites had extensive dealings with the Elohim in the past, sometime around 10,000 to 5,000 BC. There's even evidence of violent conflicts. A moon in the Gonum system appears to have played a decisive role in all this. But wait till you hear this. On Hestra, Arcanine territory, an ancient robot was excavated by the Turacell, who recognized it as Elohim technology. This is top secret stuff. And on the very same day, I'm called to see the Elohim curator. What a coincidence. I finished the plan for the exhibition and all negotiations are complete. I'm totally confused, tired, and at 6s and 7s at the moment. What if the Elohim never existed at all? They flutter through my dreams, and everywhere I look I see shapes like angels. Thankfully this will soon be over. The head of the Arcanide Secret Service, Turacell, has made contact with me. He said I should restrict my research into the Elohim to LFT territory, and that we will receive all the information that the Arcanide government holds on this race in the near future. If I get a hold of any more information from unofficial sources, I will be made to answer for it. Bearing in mind that they still practice capital punishment, this amounts to a death threat. I'm so annoyed. I bumped into Bully in the residence. He said that I shouldn't take it to heart, and that he and Perry have been on the Arcanide's blacklist for at least 3,000 years. The last exhibits I could get hold of have been delivered. Now they are all complete, and we have checked them over and registered them here before having them sent over to the museum. There must have been a mistake with one of the deliveries, though. One of the anti-grav containers did have our delivery address on it, but inside was an obviously damaged servopod. It looks like one of those custom models built for the administration. Somehow my intuition tells me that this robot didn't fall into my hands by chance. I'm going to see what I can find out about it when I get the time. Finally, the museum has been approved, and we can begin installing the exhibition. Just 4 weeks ago, the Arcanides have also started setting up their part of the museum exhibition today. But the museum director has told us about an absolute sensation. I'm flying over tomorrow to see what this sensation is all about. And I guess we'll have to learn more about that next time, because I think that'll do us for today. So with that, thank you all for watching, and stay tuned for next time, and stay safe out there, and we'll see you then.